Hi, this is Glenn with Freedom for Life Fitness, and today we're going to talk about how you can determine maximum heart rate. And there's several ways. The first is in a clinical setting. Unfortunately, these aren't very practical, but they are the most accurate. They also often include a VO2 max test so you can get your VO2 max. Again, it's not the most practical because you have to set up an appointment. It's very expensive. And these clinical settings are not always easy to find, but that is one way. Another way is through a field test. Now, I don't recommend a field test unless you've been exercising and you've been exercising at a fairly high intensity. Otherwise, it's not the safest way. But what a field test would be, you would want to warm up for 10 to 15 minutes and then do high intensity interval training like running. So for example, a 10 to 15 minute warm up at a moderate pace where you're getting your heart rate up somewhat, and then you break into, depending on your fitness level, it might be a sprint, it might be a jog, it might be a fast jog, and you do that for a minute, check your pulse, rest approximately a minute so you recover somewhat, do it again, and you can do that 2 or 3 times. And whatever the highest heart rate is, that's going to be an estimate of your max heart rate. Now, when you do that, you have to push yourself as hard as possible. We've talked about in other videos an RPE of 1 to 10, and you want to be at a 9 or a 10 to get a true maximum heart rate. So that's another way. The other is through a formula, and the old school formula that is the most common, and I've used it a lot in many of my videos, is taking 220 minus your age. So for example, if you're 50 years of age, you take 220 minus 50, and that equals 170. Now, that's okay. I think that's a ballpark. I think it works well for some people, but I know of one that's actually, I believe, a little more accurate. The 220 minus your age in my many, many years of doing this tends to be a little lower than what most people's max heart rate is. And so the other formula is you take 64%, multiply that by your age, you take that number and then subtract it from 211. And that gives you an estimate of your maximum heart rate. So when we talk about cardiovascular exercise, oftentimes it's based off of your maximum heart rate. So it's a good idea to know what yours is when you start a fitness program. This is Glenn, and we'll see you next time.